What's up, guys? Hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. Back to the grind here today. We're going to be talking about the 3-4 odd. This is a defense that a lot of players are starting to turn to. If you guys live under a rock, Lambo won a belt a couple months ago running the pinch buck zero with coverage adjustments. This is basically a defense that caught a lot of players by surprise simply because they thought that they could block this with their running back. In fact, there's a narrative out there that you really can't block this without the running back. I'm going to kind of show you guys why this is the case. Now, with the punch, before I do so, make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the channel, hit that notification bell, and drop a comment below to help push this video out in the algorithm. All those things are absolutely free and they help this channel grow. I really appreciate all the support you guys have given me over the years. Let's keep it pushing as we move up towards 50,000 subscribers. Okay, so the pinch buck O is not just a standard cover zero blitz, although casual players will call this and just call cover zero. I'm not really so worried about beating a cover zero meta in this game, but picking up this blitz when your opponent does decide to turn it into other, coverage shells can be pretty difficult because it's hard to deal with the blitz and know exactly what crazy cockamamie adjustments they're making. Sometimes it's a cover two, then the next time you face it, it might be a cover three shell. Then the next time you face it, it might be kind of hybrid where individual players are manned up, but then they maybe have like a zone drop purple and outside thirds. It gets kind of wild with this, okay? But the theme with this is that if your opponent runs this, all they have to do is with their user, step down and towards the middle, towards the center. So they're going to line up in this A gap. And if you block your running back, even if you go to the trouble to like slide protect left and ID the right, if you snap the ball and their first step is into the middle, they will dumb out the offensive line, even though you have 6 players for their 6 rushers. The reason for this, again, is that the user confuses the offensive line. While they are blitzing everyone except for the player with the red circle underneath their feet, they basically, because the user is unpredictable, can make the offensive line kind of freak out and have to account for them, even though they don't have the real intent to be a true rusher. So 6 versus 6 is really not going to work because this is kind of a 6.5 versus 6. And then from there, again, you might say, oh, well, why don't you just hit your quick check down to the right? Well, that's not necessarily going to be the case because the next down, you might see somebody decide to, man up the route. Maybe they just go back to a straight cover zero and don't even try to play zone. So that way now you're setting up, a zone beater. You're thinking, all right, well, that was a cover 2 to that side. So let's go ahead and try to run a cover 2 beater to the left. But then there was a quick flat hole to the right. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then you snap the ball and boom, there was the pressure and it's completely guarded because they're mixing up their coverage behind it. So this is what presents a big time challenge to a lot of players out there. And it kind of leads towards this narrative that you simply cannot block it with a running back. And I'll go as far as to show you that one of my favorite techniques for blocking this can be rather inconsistent as well. And that is, I actually like to go ahead and block the running back, half slide away from the user side, which would be towards the left. And then I actually put the ID the mic on the user. And what that does is that makes it so the offensive line now only accounts for the other rushers. And you see right here, there's a flame logo on the right. But again, the trick to this is that the defense is going to run forward with their user. And they know that this counters the tactic that I've been teaching, which is to ID the user, because then the running back has to really look at that player. If I didn't and I would just bail out, he would actually turn and then you're in a spot where he could block the edge. And now we're throwing a whip route against the cover zero and we're scampering upfield for a huge gain. But the difference is that what makes this defense so much better when you use this formula. So I'm going to go right back to that same formula and I'm going to ID the mic on Gronkowski. If I, as Gronkowski on the user side of the ball, step into the line, now the running back has to respect that, and that causes the guy to come in free off the edge. So now we're in a spot where you simply can't block this with a running back. It does not work because if you occupy the running back and step towards him, it pulls the running back up to where he can't turn and retarget back to the outside. If you drop back in coverage, yeah, my pickup works just fine. So this does technically limit the way that you can actually block this blitz with the running back. So what can we do? Well, the first thing you could do is head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. Opened up in 2020, Gridiron has been the #1 place to get better at competitive Madden. Focused on the meta, or the most effective tactics available, our vault is updated weekly, talking about what pro players are doing, what trends are on the horizon, how they work, and how to counter them. Those 4 to 5 videos a week are going to help you stay up to date with the trends in Madden week to week. But on top of that, your membership also includes all offensive and defensive game plans at no additional charge. This means you guys are going to unlock the 1-4 defensive game plan, with blitzes by medic, with my coverage installs behind those blitzes. This is the best defense in Madden right now, that I assure you. There are a lot of players out there running dollar and moving their linebackers. We have better ways to get after the quarterback while guaranteeing that your focus is on coverage. So whether you struggle with bunch tight end, bunch strong, trips tight end flex, regular bunch offset, spread, you guys name it, we've got coverage formulas for you that lock down all of those types of formations while getting pressure on the quarterback, sending 3 or 4 rushers. Make sure you guys check that out. You guys will also unlock my bunch tight end game plan. I'm showing you some of the stuff that I like to run here out of the bunch, and you guys can apply these free YouTube videos to that game plan as well. You guys unlock the entire website, and that includes Discord access for just $9.95 a month. And we have lab sessions in that Discord every single week. Go check it out. Best deal in the tip space. Now back to the video. So if we can't really block this with our running back, we have to get a little bit creative with our possibilities. So the first one that I'm going to kind of give you guys is going to be one that basically makes it where you're going to block your tight end. Now, this is kind of the pro narrative. A lot of players have switched to offenses that involve the tight end. This is why you're seeing an uptick in the amount of normal Y off out there. That's the Philly playbook, or the run and gun version of this offense. Basically, having a tight end on the line will help you with this quite easily. But to be totally honest with you, just blocking the tight end can be a little bit rough as well. You're going to see right here that, again, if we are blocking this blitz, what we could do is we could try to do like a full slide or a half slide towards that left side. You see the flame logo still basically appears over their head. And if I were to ID the user in this particular context, again, you still get the same issue as the running back. The trick is running down at the line. So the big thing is obviously right here that the trick is when they're stepping forward, you basically have to account for this blitz with 7. It's an unfortunate reality of the situation, but you're going to be much better off and much more sane if you guys do this. And this will help you kind of make it so your opponent's job is tougher, okay? They're trying to dictate what you do by making you block the tight end, block the running back to pick this up. And then because they step in towards the line, they know that it's not going to block it anyways. So what you have to do is you have to start mixing up the ways that you're attacking this particular blitz. So what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is, knowing that in most cases, they have to guard the running back out of the backfield, I'm encouraging you guys to get the running back out on a pattern. So I'm going to put him on a wheel or a table route if you don't have Hot Route Master. Now with this, we're going to go ahead as well and try to make it so we exchange, meaning that I send the tight end to a different spot on the field. I don't want both of those routes going to the same side of the field, because that makes the user's job easier. It draws attention over there, and they can kind of easily switch stick if they need to. We really want to create kind of some issues here. So what I will do here in this regard is kind of just exchange. Inside release with Njoku, outside release with the tailback. Now with this, if we're going to block this blitz, one of the things that I'm a big fan of doing here is I'm going to experiment with my slide protections. You see, when I do full slide, half slide, et cetera, this creates some issues. You don't necessarily want to have, multiple flame logos on these plays. So I would probably ditch those. You'll notice that if you go with something more representative of the just regular base blocking scheme, this can be a little bit better. And what I'll do a lot of times is I will go ahead against this tactic and I will just motion block a receiver. And the reason I do that is that I know that I can get the offensive line to kind of dumb out, and then I can dump it out of the backfield. And I believe I said the offensive line, I meant the defensive line. Basically with this, when they step forward, all you really have to do is have just basically this wide receiver that's going to seal. And then you see that the offensive line turns and blocks this correctly. And you see right here how we end up with every single person blocked. And now we're in a spot where if they are not basically guarding that running back because they're trying to guarantee their pressure stepping forward, I could check this down quickly out of the backfield. Now, of course, I was trying to control 2 controls at the same time. Motion block on one, run forward with the other. It's hard for me to, have 4 hands for 2 controllers, but you get the gist right here. This is a wide open check down. Even if they're starting to, get into the whole act of, changing this up into zone, you will see some players, they're going to probably change the way that this looks. So that way they can have, a flat defender. In this case, you probably know they're not going to be playing man-to-man. I mean, they might, but again, the responsibility is still on the user. You might see players do something kind of like, where they're going to zone drop on the outside. Maybe they'll put like a cloud flat. But again, in this situation, we're once again in a spot where it's like, okay, well, if I know that that's what they're doing, I can still kind of get at them with, the motion block. So again, right here, if we just do this kind of motion snap to the inside, you're going to see that, you know, they can't really get home, and I can still get the ball off the line if there's holes in the zone. Okay, so them turning this into a zone blitz actually makes it easier, because it's not like you're waiting for a man cut. It's more like you're just, you know, trying to pick this up long enough to figure out where the hole in their zone is. Again, most players are not going to run a you know, what we would consider to be, you know, just a straight man across the board. And honestly, if they do, this is what makes the bunch tight end so valuable, is I've got this play whips. I call this the best man beater in the game, because these routes basically can't be guarded by man-to-man. So again, here, if we are doing this motion to the inside and I'm facing someone who tries to guarantee their pressure, I mean, you see both the whips. And again, trying to, you know, guarantee the pressure and throw the ball, I get this ball out hot, right? We have both these whips getting open. You can see right here, my hands are on the defensive controllers. I'm trying to rush forward. But again, like this ball's got to be out. Like right here, we're throwing this, boom. Or depending on where they switch stick to, we're throwing this over here, you know, when it creates separation. Again, you just need enough time to pick this up. And in this case, you can actually block 7. I actually do rather like this tactic against, you know, players that play this way, because it does allow me to be able to pick up this blitz. There you go. I dump it down. And then you see this is dangerous. You know, if you're playing cover 0 like this could be a touchdown with one juke move after the catch. Or if you have a tight end with tank, if you guys are playing cut, things like that, they try to hit stick you unbeknownst to them. You got a ability that breaks a hit stick. That's a house call off a simple check down. So keep it simple against this. I think it's really, really important that you guys mix this up. You might go ahead in some cases and say, all right, well, I'm going to block a tight end and I'm going to block a running back and I'll float this running back. And then the next down you go ahead and you just basically block 7 against 7, right? And then boom, you hit your whip. It's all about mixing up your ways that you block it. Sometimes it's the running back on a quick check down to the flat, just to kind of keep them honest. The next down, you actually max protect it. The next down, you do a side protection with your offensive line, a motion snapper, receiver inside. You've got 4 guys out on routes. If you guys mix up the way that you protect this, now your opponent doesn't know where your eyes are immediately or what your first read is immediately, and they can't sit on those types of things. Or if they are trying to guess and sit on those types of things, you're going to say, oh, that guy was in a hard flat right here. Let's go ahead and use a different protection and maybe throw a stem corner out over the top of that hard flat, because that guy's not in man coverage anymore. And this is how you're going to be able to attack this defense. I want you guys to take this, you know, kind of take it to heart, lab it, breathe. When you face these defenses, they're not nearly as daunting as they look. Your opponent is basically admitting, hey, I want to get pressure. I don't want to try to play the coverage game with you. You still can just exhale, try to figure out what they're doing, and it doesn't kill to use the 7-man protection and throw the ball hot to the running back every once in a while, because it just keeps your opponent in the back of their mind knowing, damn, I got to guard that flat. If they take their mind off the middle of the field, that makes beating them in the middle of the field easier. It makes beating them to the other side of the field easier. Their attention is, okay, the running back, the running back. If you aren't always using the running back to block a 0 blitz, their lives are so much tougher. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. We're locking in almost New Year's. Subscribe to the channel. We got so much more on the way. I'll see you guys on Monday. Until then, this is Zan. Get the labby and good luck.